All right, so we've reached the during the loss section. Speaking in terms of tropical weather events, this portion begins at the time in which we're placed in that 5 to 7 day cone. So during this section, we're going to talk about channeling our plans, adjusting our response as dictated by the situation, hitting the ground running, and communication. So may the plan be with you.
Whoa, that's not good.
Oh, I don't need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello? There are two people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something? I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, there's not enough left to do, is there?
All right, it's go time. The plan will be counted on to provide guidance necessary to respond to the hazard and mitigate the risk. To do so, we've got to follow these steps. Step number 1, follow the plan. We built these plans for a reason. Step number 2, have situational awareness specific to your property and assets. Understand that we will all be dealing with other issues, infrastructure, public health and safety. However, maintain focus on our property and assets to maintain continuity of operations. Step number 3, communicate and stay in touch with all involved stakeholders. This includes coverage providers and emergency management districts. Ensure they understand your plan, ask them questions, and understand theirs. Step number 4, the safety of our personnel takes precedence over the plan. Ride out locations. These should be hardened structures safe from potential hazards. If we identify that the threat is too dangerous, adjust accordingly and identify a secondary ride out location. Step number 5, ensure proper ride out supplies and equipment is ready to go prior to the ride out. Don't be scrambling to pick up last minute supplies. I can't stress this enough during a time like now when we're experiencing shortages of everyday items. So get your emergency supplies ready to go prior to a storm event. Final step, make sure to document activities and costs before, during, and after. Track the development of the hazard. Hazards and risks will remain fluid during this time. Oftentimes, there is uncertainty as to the intensity or the potential landfall location, so it's important to continue to monitor the status. FMIT provides alerts before, during, and after the storm to keep members informed of the latest track and advisories. Additional information is included, such as what the FMIT and Synergy is doing to prepare, ride out team and adjuster deployments, as well as additional resources that may be available. If you aren't currently receiving these alerts, reach out to Synergy or FMIT to be added to the distribution list. Another great service that FMIT provides are ride out teams that are pre-deployed to your designated location prior to a landfalling storm. These teams are offered at no cost to members and provide two main functions. Number 1, ride out teams provide a direct conduit for communication between the FMIT and Synergy recovery teams. This leads to quicker response and reduces the need to contact FMIT or Synergy with questions. Your ride out team member may not be able to answer all questions, but has the resources directly available to provide answers quickly. Number 2, ride out teams are available to provide boots on the ground damage assessments to your insured property immediately following landfall. These teams will house inside your emergency operations center or within the immediate area and are prepared to hit the ground running as soon as it is safe to do so. These teams will come prepared with all necessary accommodations, 3 to 5 days food and water, a sleeping bag or cot, and emergency supplies to be self-sustaining. In other words, this is not an additional person you will need to support. If you're interested in receiving a ride-out team, you can make a request directly with Synergy. We ask that you make us aware well prior to a storm event, as necessary to allocate resources. Once we reach a 5 to 7 day cone timeline, a Synergy representative will reach out to you to coordinate deployment of teams. Adjust response as dictated by the situation. Expect that we'll be thrown some curveballs and plan to adjust given what the situation calls for. Expect that we'll be presented with challenges not necessarily outlined in our plans. Understand that this is normal and make adjustments as needed. Collaborate and reach out to other organizations and stakeholders for support. Mutual aid and collaboration between neighboring members and cities often goes overlooked. Neighboring members may have resources that can be shared for support. At the same time, you may have resources and guidance helpful to them. Okay, so quick recap. Prepare to hit the ground running. We got to review safety and procedural checklist. These are things like moving vehicles and equipment to higher ground away from high-risk areas, identifying safety concerns, down power lines immediately following, training to personnel on use of equipment, chainsaws, boats for rescue. We want to be cognizant and avoid other factors such as stress, lack of sleep, anxiety. Have our go kits ready for distribution to field personnel. Assemble handouts and printed materials in support of responding to the hazard. Don't assume that we're going to have connectivity and power to be able to email or print these things at the time in which a storm is occurring. Prepare org charts and workflow documents to help provide overall guidance. Communication. Response and recovery starts with effective communication. When we fail to communicate, two things happen. Number one, boxes go unchecked. Number two, efforts become duplicated, which hinders our efficiency. This includes all involved stakeholders. Public information officers should lead the narrative on all public information releases. Remind your staff not to speak with members of the media unless authorized to do so. Finally, craft a narrative that is both on point and influences public opinion to convey your organization's ability to address the hazard.